Welcome to Night Terrors Files, the channel where history, mystery, and the supernatural collide. Tonight, we unravel the chilling secrets of one of the most haunted places in the world, the Tower of London. A fortress steeped in blood, betrayal, and restless spirits, this ancient structure has been home to centuries of executions, imprisonments, and mysterious deaths. Prepare yourself as we dive into the ghost stories that make this historic landmark one of the spookiest places on Earth, from the tragic ghost of Anne Boleyn to the spectral cries of the princes in the tower. These walls have seen, and still see, things that defy explanation. Let's begin our journey into the ghosts of the Tower of London. As we explore the tower's haunted history, you'll encounter the headless apparition of Anne Boleyn, the sinister shadow of Thomas Becket, and the phantom soldiers who still patrol the bloody tower. Each story is more unsettling than the last, filled with vivid details of ghostly encounters that will send chills down your spine. Are you ready to step into the darkness of the Tower of London? Let's begin. Few figures in history are as tragic or as haunting as Anne Boleyn, the ill-fated second wife of King Henry VIII. Her story is one of ambition, betrayal, and a fate so brutal that it left an indelible scar on the annals of English history. But Anne's tale did not end with her death. Tonight, we delve into the legend of the ghost of Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn was no ordinary woman. Born to a noble family, she was educated in the courts of Europe, mastering the art of conversation, dance, and the subtleties of court intrigue. When she returned to England, her charm and wit captivated everyone, including King Henry VIII. Henry's obsession with Anne knew no bounds. She refused to be his mistress, insisting that only marriage would satisfy her honor. This boldness led Henry to break from the Catholic Church, creating the Church of England so he could annul his first marriage and marry Anne. She was crowned queen in 1533, a triumph that seemed to secure her place in history, but the fairy tale did not last. Anne's failure to produce a male heir and the whispers of her enemies turned Henry's affection into disdain. By 1536, Anne was arrested on charges of adultery, incest, and treason, charges most historians agree were fabricated. On May 19, 1536, Anne was brought to Tower Green to meet her fate. She maintained her innocence until the end, delivering a composed speech that praised the king and accepted her death with dignity. Moments later, the executioner's blade fell, ending her life in an instant. She was buried in an unmarked grave in the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula. But Anne's story does not end here. Some say her spirit never truly left the Tower of London. Shortly after her death, whispers began to circulate among the guards. Anne had been seen wandering the grounds, her figure pale and translucent, her head tucked beneath her arm. One guard claimed he encountered her near the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula. Her form was unmistakable, though headless. She carried herself with the grace of a queen. Terrified, the guard fainted on the spot, and spirit is most often seen near the chapel where she was buried. Witnesses describe her kneeling at the altar, her hands clasped in silent prayer. Some say they have heard faint whispers, a soft, melodic voice pleading for justice. Others have felt an icy chill as they pass through the chapel, as if Anne herself is walking beside them. The scent of lavender, said to be her favorite perfume, often lingers in the air after her appearance. One of the most famous sightings of Anne's ghost is her headless procession through Tower Green. Many have reported seeing her gliding silently across the grounds, her gown trailing behind her, her head cradled in her arms. It is said that Anne's ghost retraces her final walk to the scaffold, reliving her last moments again and again, forever tied to the place of her execution, but Anne does not confine herself to the Tower. On the anniversary of her death, she is said to return to her childhood home, Blickling Hall, in Norfolk. Witnesses describe a spectral carriage drawn by headless horses, with Anne sitting inside, her severed head resting in her lap. She is seen gliding toward the house, her figure glowing faintly before vanishing at the stroke of midnight. The eerie sight has become a local legend, drawing curious onlookers each year. Why does Anne's spirit linger? Some believe she remains tied to the tower by the injustice of her death, her restless soul unable to find peace. Others see her appearances as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the cruelty of power. The Tower of London has stood for centuries, its stones bearing witness to the triumphs and tragedies of the past. Anne Boleyn Story is just one of many, yet it remains among the most haunting. The Tower of London. For nearly 1,000 years, it has stood as a witness to England's most turbulent history. But within its walls lies more than just stories of kings and queens. It is a fortress of spirits, and among them, one of the most haunting figures is the White Lady, a ghostly presence whose tragic tale has echoed through the centuries. The White Tower, the heart of this ancient fortress, has long been a focus of spectral sightings. The story of the White Lady is one of sorrow and mystery, her origins lost in the mists of time. Some believe she was a noblewoman imprisoned and executed for treason, condemned by the shifting allegiances of a dangerous age. Others claim she was a grieving mother, mourning the loss of a child who perished within these cold, unforgiving walls. Her name is unknown, but her sorrow lingers, etched into the very stones of the tower. Over the years, visitors and guards alike have encountered her ghostly figure. Witnesses describe a woman dressed in white, her flowing gown trailing behind her as she moves silently through the corridors of the White Tower. Often seen near the chapel, she appears to pray, her translucent form illuminated by the faint glow of candlelight. Her lips move as if whispering words of desperation, but no sound escapes her spectral presence. One of the most unnerving aspects of the White Lady's hauntings is the scent of roses that often accompanies her. At first, the fragrance is delicate, almost comforting. But as it grows stronger, it becomes suffocating, overwhelming those who encounter it. This haunting scent is often followed by soft, sorrowful cries and an icy chill that fills the air. Some who have experienced her presence claim they felt as though they were being watched, a sorrowful gaze piercing the veil between worlds. Paranormal investigators have tried to uncover the truth of the White Lady's presence. Thermal cameras have captured unexplained cold spots near the chapel, and motion sensors have been triggered by unseen forces. Perhaps most chilling are the EVP recordings, capturing faint, pleading whispers. Phrases like "help me" and "forgive me" suggest a spirit trapped by guilt or bound to this place by an unresolved sorrow. But who was she, and why does she remain? Some theories suggest she was the victim of political intrigue, imprisoned and executed in a time when even the whisper of treason could mean death. Others believe she may have been a loyal servant of a doomed queen, punished for her devotion in a time of rebellion and betrayal. Whatever her story, it is clear that her grief was so profound, her death so tragic, that her spirit cannot find peace. The White Lady of the White Tower remains one of the Tower of London's most enduring mysteries. Her presence serves as a reminder of the countless untold stories hidden within these ancient walls, stories of love, betrayal, and heartbreak that refuse to be forgotten. As long as the White Tower stands, the White Lady may continue to haunt its halls, her sorrowful figure a ghostly echo of the past. The Tower of London. A symbol of power, a fortress of terror, and one of the most haunted locations in the world. Its history is stained with blood and betrayal. But amidst its many ghosts, one stands out, a figure of faith and defiance, Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Tonight, we uncover the chilling legend of his restless spirit and its mysterious connection to this fortress. Thomas Becket was a man of principle and power, born in 1119 and rising to prominence as the Archbishop of Canterbury. Once a close ally of King Henry II, Becket's loyalty shifted when he chose to defend the Church's authority over the Crown. Their friendship turned to rivalry, and tensions between the two grew until Henry reportedly uttered the infamous words, "Will no one rid me of this turbulent priest?" On December 29, 1170, for knights interpreted their king's frustration as a command. They stormed Canterbury Cathedral and brutally murdered Becket at the altar. His death shocked the world, transforming him into a martyr and a saint. Yet, while his soul may have been canonized in heaven, his spirit seemed bound to this world. Though Thomas Becket lived and died far from the Tower of London, his spectral presence is deeply entwined with its history. In the 13th century, King Henry III built a chapel within the tower, dedicated to the memory of Becket. But what was meant as an act of devotion may have awakened something far more sinister. Legend has it that Becket's ghost appeared in the chapel, furious at the perceived desecration of sacred ground. Witnesses claimed they saw the spirit striking the walls with his crozier. Soon after, part of the chapel mysteriously crumbled. Was this a divine act of vengeance? Or was it a warning, a reminder of the saint's defiance against earthly power? Becket's haunting is far from confined to the chapel. Over the centuries, guards and visitors have reported strange occurrences throughout the tower. Sudden chills, ghostly footsteps, and murmurs of prayer in empty hallways. Some even claim to have seen a tall figure in bishop's robes, appearing for only a moment before vanishing into the shadows. Could this be proof of Becket's restless spirit? Many believe it is. Visitors have captured eerie images and heard inexplicable sounds, each adding to the growing legend of the ghost of Thomas Becket. But why does Becket's spirit linger in the Tower of London? Some historians believe it is tied to the chapel dedicated to his name, a structure he may have viewed as unworthy of his legacy. Others suggest that his ghost symbolizes the eternal struggle between the Church and the Crown, a conflict that defined his life and ultimately led to his death. Modern ghost hunters have tried to uncover the truth. Many report sudden drops in temperature and unexplained spikes in electromagnetic readings. One team captured an EVP, a faint whisper of the word justice. Was it Becket himself, reaching out from the beyond to remind us of his sacrifice? Whether fact or folklore, the story of Thomas Becket's ghost continues to haunt the Tower of London. His tale is one of faith, betrayal, and defiance, a reminder of the price paid for standing against tyranny. Perhaps his spirit remains as a warning, or perhaps as a silent guardian, watching over a land he once fought to protect. The Tower of London, a fortress, a palace, a prison. For nearly 1,000 years, this iconic stronghold has stood as a witness to England's most pivotal moments. It has seen royal coronations, high treason, brutal executions, and bloody battles. But its history is not confined to the pages of books. Many believe that within its ancient walls walk the restless spirits of the past, and among them are the phantom soldiers, ghostly warriors who refuse to lay down their arms. Throughout the centuries, the tower has been a focal point of power and conflict. From its origins as a Norman stronghold built by William the Conqueror to its role as a prison and arsenal, the tower has seen countless soldiers pass through its gates. Some never left. These ghostly sentinels, clad in armor and armed with weapons of war, are said to patrol its halls even now, their spectral presence a chilling reminder of the fortress's bloody history. The first accounts of phantom soldiers date back to the Victorian era. Night watchmen patrolling the tower reported strange and inexplicable phenomena. Footsteps echoed down empty hallways, faint voices called out commands in languages long forgotten, and shadowy figures were seen marching in the mist. One guard described encountering a troop of soldiers in full medieval armor. He called out to them, but they vanished before his eyes, leaving him paralyzed with fear. The most infamous of these ghostly apparitions is the spectral archer of the White Tower. Witnesses have reported hearing the sound of a bowstring snapping, followed by the whistle of an arrow flying through the air. In some cases, an arrow has been seen materializing out of thin air, striking the wall with unnatural precision. One terrified visitor claimed to see the ghostly figure of an archer standing at the end of a corridor, his hollow eyes locking onto hers before he faded into the shadows. Was he a remnant of a past siege, defending the tower from an unseen enemy? Or is his presence a warning, a reminder of the violent past that permeates these walls? Perhaps the most terrifying accounts involve full-scale spectral battles replaying on Tower Green. Guards have reported hearing the unmistakable sounds of combat, the clash of steel, the cries of the wounded, and the deafening roar of cannons. One such event is believed to be tied to the Peasants' Revolt of 1381, when angry rebels stormed the tower. Witnesses have claimed to see transparent figures locked in a ghostly skirmish, swords flashing in the moonlight before fading into nothingness. These battles, it is said, are echoes of the tower's violent past, moments so charged with emotion and death that they continue to imprint themselves on the present. Even in modern times, the stories of the phantom soldiers persist. Paranormal investigators have captured compelling evidence of their existence. Thermal cameras have recorded faint humanoid figures moving through the corridors, while EVP recordings have picked up disembodied voices. One particularly chilling recording captured the words, "Hold the line," a phrase believed to be shouted by an officer commanding his troops. These moments suggest that the soldiers of the tower are not merely echoes but active spirits, continuing their duty beyond the grave. But why do these ghostly warriors remain? Some believe they are guardians of the tower, bound by loyalty to protect its secrets and treasures even in death. Others suggest they are prisoners of time, their souls trapped by the violent circumstances of their demise. Perhaps they are simply remnants of a history too turbulent to fade entirely, a spectral reminder of the bloodshed that built an empire. Whatever the truth may be, the phantom soldiers of the Tower of London are an enduring mystery. Their presence serves as a stark reminder that history is never truly gone, that the past can linger in the most unexpected ways. The next time you walk through the tower's ancient halls, listen closely. You might hear the faint echo of marching boots or the ghostly clash of swords. And if you do, take a moment to remember the countless lives that shaped this fortress, a history written not just in stone, but in spirit. Now, we dive into one of England's most chilling mysteries, the tragic fate and restless spirits of the princes in the Tower of London. Were these young royals the victims of a sinister political plot? And do their ghosts still haunt the halls of this infamous fortress? Let's uncover the truth. Our story begins in 1483, during a time of chaos and treachery in English history. Edward V, just 12 years old, and his younger brother Richard, aged 9, were sent to the Tower of London by their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester. It was said to be for their protection, a place where Edward could prepare for his coronation. But instead of ascending to the throne, the princes disappeared, vanishing from the annals of history and becoming one of its greatest mysteries. Whispers of foul play began to spread. Some claimed the boys were murdered, smothered in their sleep on the orders of their uncle, who seized the crown and became Richard III. Others argue it was the work of Henry VII, who defeated Richard at Bosworth and established the Tudor dynasty. With no conclusive evidence, the truth remains locked in the shadows of the tower, but it wasn't just their disappearance that cast a shadow over history. Over the centuries, reports of strange happenings have haunted this ancient fortress. Visitors and guards alike have recounted chilling encounters they cannot explain. In the White Tower, where the boys were last seen, witnesses have described the apparitions of two small figures huddled together, as if seeking comfort. Their presence is fleeting, and they vanish as suddenly as they appear. Others report hearing faint, eerie laughter echoing through the stone walls, only for it to transform into heart-wrenching cries. It's as if the very walls of the tower are soaked with their sorrow. The Tower of London has a long and bloody history, a backdrop of executions, imprisonments, and betrayal. It's no wonder so many believe it to be one of the most haunted places in the world. But the story of the princes stands apart. Their tragedy is not just a ghost story, it's a reminder of the brutal cost of power and ambition. Of course, not everyone believes these tales. Skeptics suggest the sightings are no more than tricks of the mind, fueled by the tower's dark history. Yet, for paranormal investigators and spiritual mediums, the energy of the tower is undeniable, or a place where history and the supernatural intertwine. In 1674, workers at the tower made a startling discovery: two small skeletons buried beneath a staircase. Many believe they were the remains of Edward and Richard, the long-lost princes. However, without definitive DNA evidence, the mystery remains unsolved, and perhaps their spirits remain restless, bound to the site of their tragic demise. So, what do you think? Are the spirits of the princes still haunting the Tower of London? Or are these ghostly tales simply the echoes of a dark chapter in history? Let us know in the comments below. And if you visited the tower and experienced something unexplainable, we'd love to hear your story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Night Terrors Files. Hit the bell icon for more stories that blend history and the paranormal. Until next time, sleep well if you dare.